Hey everyone, welcome back. What was that?
We have another co-host over here. Stupid fly. It's a big one.
Hello, Freddie the Fly, and we are here together on another installment of 90s Crime Talk with Stef, which
Oh
is a mere
yeah.
tree branch from our amazing podcast, or tree, if you will, of the Totally 90s podcast. And I'm here with my stunning bestie and co-host, Neen. Hey,
Oh,
Neen,
I think you're talking
how the
about
hell are
yourself,
you?
Steph. I'm fantastic. How are you today?
I am doing absolutely fantabulously amazing. I just got excited because for a second I was like, is it Thursday and is there
Oh
a
my
new
gosh.
episode of Just Like That? But it's
Oh my
Wednesday.
gosh. Okay, shut up right now. I
Yeah.
just finished the second episode last night.
Uh-huh.
And can I tell you something?
Go ahead. Are you going to talk about Miranda?
Yes.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
So last season, I
Yes.
wasn't really digging Shay.
Mm-hmm.
What something not that and I love Sarah Ramirez, but wasn't really digging her character. Just I don't know. Maybe it
She's
was
a bit
more.
out there.
Yeah, but it was just maybe it was, and I felt like maybe it was more Miranda that was just irritating me because of the whole
Miranda.
Steve thing, right?
Yeah.
This season, I
Mm.
am so about Shay.
Right? How
Yes.
cute. Okay, sorry guys, we're gonna do a spoiler. It's not really huge to the well, maybe it is, but like how cute was that little moment where she was like, I'm on a diet.
I that was the part that just tickled me. I because I was like, I really thought that she straight up was
Yeah.
having second thoughts about
Yeah,
her.
like this woman's too clingy. Like, oh my
Yes.
God. Yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
But then when she brought that up, I was like, oh my gosh, she's so cute.
I wasn't prepared. So like me and Angel, like we saved the episodes for Fridays, right? So
hmm
we had two of them like ready to go Friday night.
Yeah.
And when we got to that part, because like she was seemed so standoffish. She's like, don't touch
hmm
me, la la la. I was like, oh, she's not ready to be in a committed relationship and
Right.
what's going on. And then that cute moment. So that was adorable. You know, okay, I don't think I'm a prude.
hmm
I don't think I'm a prude.
hmm
But the way that the second season started with
Okay. I was
everyone,
just gonna bring that up too. Uh-huh.
everyone's just, getting it on.
Uh-huh.
Why did we have to see that pool scene? It was very aggressive. It was very like I've seen Miranda's boobs more than I see my own. Like
Uh-huh.
I
Oh, for real. It was
right?
sorry, I'm in the midst of trying to get this stupid fly. It it was very like in your face. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
like hi, these are my nipples. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I found it interesting how they all actually I really loved the song with it, you know.
Yeah.
Um
Wait, what was it? I forgot.
it was the one with uh, what's his name? Britney Spears and
Oh yes.
um not Phil Collins.
Pocahontas.
Yeah,
That one.
what's his name?
Dua Lipa.
No. What's Sir Elton John?
Oh,
It's the
Elton
Elton
John and
John
Dua.
and
Yeah.
Britney Spears one. Um
Oh wait. Are you talking about Britney? Are you talking about Dua Lipa and Elton John's Cold Heart? Or are you talking about Elton John,
no, the
Tiny Dancer?
Tiny
Hold me
Dancer.
closer. Oh, that's right.
Yes,
Now it's
that
coming
one.
back. Yes.
Um, I don't know, it just fit with all the scenes with everybody.
Yeah,
And
it was cute. I liked it.
but then I was like, dang, okay, Miranda. I was like,
I was like, go ahead. I mean, we've all, been there.
hmm
Um,
but yeah, right. But it was just like it was very much in your face, and it wasn't just that. It was like and I'm trying to think. They did have some in the old, show where, like with Kim Cattrall with Samantha and stuff, and
I was never bothered by that though.
no, but something about
Miranda's
right.
character.
Yeah, and I have a
Yeah.
feeling she's gonna get her heart broken, even though
Really? You think so? I mean, I hope not, but like this is her first quote, like, relationship with a woman and
hmm
it's you tend to put all your apples in one basket when it's like your first one.
right.
Hello, speaking from Exper.
hmm
And yeah, you're probably right. Heartbreak's probably imminent, but
hmm
I don't know. Maybe
And
it's
then they
karma.
changed her hair color back to red.
Thank God. I love her hair. You know how I feel about gray hair. But
Mm-hmm.
like I think she looks great. I think Cynthia
Mm-hmm.
Nixon's a beautiful woman. She actually
Mm-hmm.
just started her own TikTok finally, and it's
Oh,
hilarious.
really? How
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah,
Oh.
I actually really, really like her. And I love that she's like a strong gay woman and
Mm-hmm.
I really like how she speaks. It's just I guess I don't like sex scenes or
Mm-hmm.
very selective because
Mm-hmm.
it's not like so much as seeing her with another woman because that's not the issue here. Because I didn't
Mm-hmm.
like seeing her with Steve either. Like I'm like, put it away.
Yeah.
So
I just
yeah.
think she doesn't really care about being nude in front of the camera, and I think they roll with that.
I mean, it's very I mean, Kristen Davis too, and she's getting
Mm-hmm.
so much heat, still so much bullying for, her choices that she's made, in terms of um fillers and like
Mm-hmm.
Botox and stuff. And she's talked about how she's been dissolving some of her fillers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh my God, okay. She's a beautiful woman. Let her be. And
Exactly.
yeah, so
I just think
it's
that I think before they did the actual reboot, her
mhm,
fillers were a bit much
they were.
because she real like when they were doing the photos for the reboot and stuff, it was kind of like,
Yeah. You
ee,
could like she
you
looked like
know?
she was having her skin pulled back.
Yeah.
And thank God that I'm gonna be with you and through our old age because
Hmm.
I'm gonna need you to slap the Botox needle out of the doctor's hand if it gets too out of hand. Like you're gonna have to be like, stop.
Funny. Well, I've been considering getting Botox.
You don't need it yet,
Yes, I do
Neen.
right here. See
A
it?
la gran
Right
puta.
here. Right here, Steph. Hi, hi, hi.
Okay,
I
but
look at it
I
every
have
day in the
and
mirror
I
when I'm
look at
driving.
these. I look at these
No,
11s.
no, you don't need it. You don't need it at all. Can I just say though, I'm very pleased with something about this reboot and this season. Your
What?
face
Which I can't. What are you pleased
is
with?
this.
What is that?
Did you see him?
Oh, yes, from Emily in Paris.
Yes. I am so pleased
Hello.
with him being on this season.
I am too. Let's see where his character goes, though,
I
because
know.
Seema is a bit hot-headed. It's like, sweetie
Mhm.
pie, honey bunches of oats. You're not Kim Cattrall's
No, you're
character. You're
not.
not Samantha.
Exactly. And that's what I was trying to figure out what they were
Yeah,
trying to do with all these characters. And it
yeah,
clicked last night when I saw the
yeah.
second episode. And I was like, I get it now, is they are trying to make up for what's
They
lacking.
are. They're trying to
And
fill a very big void, and it's not going to happen. It's
it's
not. I'm
not.
sorry. We love,
Mm-mm.
and I'm fine. I'm going to continue watching it, even though Kim Cattrall is not on it.
Hmm.
I still really love the show, and I love the actresses, even though there's a bit of Mean Girl there. But you
Yeah,
know,
totally.
and plus we can get our Kim Cattrall fill, on Netflix because her new
Yes.
series dropped the same day that season
Ain't that
two was
crazy?
released. Uh,
And
I
it looks
love this
good.
petty pill that she took. Yeah, it looks. We started watching it. It's really cute.
It is? Okay, I
Yeah,
was gonna watch it last night, but then I forgot I had to finish that. But
yeah.
I will say that in this season, us talking about Sex in the City in our last episode that we did about them, we saw a bit of the Carrie we were talking about and how she plays those games about how she's not ready to commit yet.
But here's the thing: where it's so different. She was very vocal about it.
She was big
And
time.
I saw the growth in that she talked it out with her friends.
Hmm.
She didn't string him along. She
No.
told him right away I like Thursdays. And then he, like a mature man, was like, I want more. I know you don't want it. And then they ended it really nicely. So I think she's grown up and I'm
Yeah.
so happy about that because I
No,
really want
same
to like
here.
Carrie. So she's
I
redeeming
know.
herself.
She is, but I was just like, okay, please don't go down this road. But
He's so hot. Damn
yeah,
it.
I know.
I'm gonna
I was,
miss him.
yeah, I was like, wow, okay. Wow. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see where this goes though.
Yeah, but Yeah, I'm excited too. So tune in tomorrow. Right now, sorry, when we're recording tonight, it's currently Wednesday. So tomorrow is Thursday, also known as episode release day for And Just Like That. And this is not
Yes.
this is not a podcast on And Just Like That. We just like to do
No.
our little lighthearted banter before we talk about really sad and heavy shit. So
Yeah.
hopefully you guys enjoyed that just as much as we did.
Yes. And you know what I'm going to have to do? And I realize I know we said spoilers, but I'm probably going to have to make a little excerpt in my edits just in case, like right in the beginning, stating that there are major spoilers because, some people get really mad about that stuff. So
Lighten up.
okay.
I know
But
I'm all sorry. So spoiler alert.
we went on a tangent, which I
But
completely
it was a very organized
appreciate.
tangent,
It was. And I was so excited to talk to you about it. And gosh, it was good. I'm happy to have, because Big Brother's not on yet, and it's not coming on probably till the fall due to the writer's strike. And my summers aren't the same.
Oh shit.
And
Okay.
Presley agrees with me because she said if Big Brother was on right now, I wouldn't be bored. Right?
Oh.
So
damn, way to drop those truth bombs, Prutz.
okay, for real. So, but I'm excited though. I'm excited for tonight's crime talk with Stef. What do you have in store for us?
Oh, Neen. Well, thanks for asking. So, as we come to the end of another glorious Pride Month, and it was glorious, I want to say.
It was.
I wanted to talk about a case that I literally just stumbled upon a couple of weeks ago. And this involves 4 members of the LGBTQ plus community from San Antonio, Texas. So this case is from Texas. And the women that we're going to talk about today, they are 4 Latina lesbians, and their names are Ana Vasquez, Elizabeth Ramirez, who goes by Liz, Cassandra Rivera, who goes by Cassie, and Kristie Mayhugh. And if you were to just hear those names casually thrown about in the 90s, you probably would be like, who are you talking about? They were better known as the San Antonio 4. And even then, I didn't hear diddly squat about them in the 90s after the fact. And this case is it takes place in the 90s through the 2000s and to 2010s. Is that how we say it? Yeah. So I have been a true crime junkie for a really long time, and I've never heard of this case.
Wow.
And I'm pretty stunned that I haven't, because it's absolutely heartbreaking. Have you ever heard of the San Antonio 4?
No, not at all. Why? I mean, without getting into too much detail, maybe that's something you can answer later. Why do you think we haven't heard anything about it?
Well, it might give it away, but in the 90s, it was because it was about 4 lesbians in conservative ass San Antonio, Texas. I don't know how conservative the city is today. I don't know. I think they've loosened up a little, but it's still Texas. So I don't know if it's got gay pride flags all up and down their streets. So I don't know. But back then it was shh, gay does not exist. So maybe that had something to do with it. Yeah. And also because the trial itself was an absolute freaking joke. So I think that maybe had something to do with it. And you're going to be clutching onto your pearls when we get to the trial, because it is are you kidding? Wow. So guys, let's dive in. But before we do, I'm just going to mention just a few little trigger warnings for mentions and descriptions of sexual assault, as well as disgusting and blatant homophobia. So yes. And you'll be pleased to know that there is no murder in this week's episode. So at least let's breathe. Let's unclench our butts a little bit. But we're still going to be pissed off. We're going to be emotional. It's a roller coaster. So
okay. Wow.
So yeah. Brief overview of how these 4 women are connected. So for starters, they're all from San Antonio, Texas, and they're all pretty much around the same ages. I believe they're in their 50s today, late 40s, early 50s. And they're all gay. So they're all gay Latinas. And back in the 90s, which is where the story takes place, being out and proud was not really a common or an accepted thing. San Antonio, Texas was no different, as it was very conservative, as we just mentioned. So Anna Vasquez knew she was gay long before she finally came out publicly at around 18 years old. Thankfully, she was met with love and support and understanding from her family and those that knew her, though not like right away. It wasn't like they were throwing a big pride parade for her. It took work.
Right.
But eventually, they came around. So she meets Cassandra Rivera, or Cassie, as she is more commonly known, while working at Little Caesars Pizza. How throwbackish is that?
For real. Dang. I loved Little Caesars.
So did I. Yeah.
I love the fact they were in squares.
Yes, me too. Yes. Oh my God. That is so underrated. I swear to God. Oh, right? Yum. Now I'm hungry. But yeah, so she's working at Little Caesars and she's, she sees a cute girl come in. She's like, what up? And it was literally, the two describe it as love at first sight. When they saw each other, they meet, they hit it off, little sparks flying about. They start hanging out, and soon after they like go to a carnival, and Anna kisses Cassie. She just went for it. And in Cassie's words, she's all, when she kissed me, it was over. Like it was like, I'm hooked. So cute, right? So like, oh, yay. But because this was new to both of them, because neither I don't believe had ever been in a same-sex relationship. And it was the 90s in Texas. They weren't flaunting it. Also, Cassie had just left her husband. So she was young, but she had been married. She left her husband pretty soon after before she met Anna. And she had 2 kids with this man. So she had 2 small kids.
Oh, wow.
So she wasn't like really parading around holding her girlfriend's hand in public. So it was a lot. It was a lot for her, for both of them. So time went on. The 2 fell in love, and eventually Cassie and her kids moved in with Anna. Like they started living together, and Anna, she's young. Again, they're 18. She basically took on the role of a parent to these kids. Wow. These small little kids kids are so pure, especially if you raise them to be open-minded. They were just like, oh, these are my parents. And it was great. Like I saw that a lot of my research was from one of the documentaries that I watched on this. And there was some footage, home videos. And it was just like, you're seeing a family, like 2 parents and 2 kids, like being together. It was absolutely lovely. One thing that was a bit heartbreaking is while Anna's mom was accepting of her lifestyle, or at least grew to be, Cassie's mom wasn't at first anyways. So their relationship was a bit rocky, and she began spending less and less time with her family and the majority of her time with Anna and the kids. So Anna and Cassie also had 2 friends, who were also lesbians at around the same time. And as you can probably guess, it was Elizabeth Ramirez, aka Liz, and Kristie Mayhugh. Anna and Liz actually met back in high school in 1990, and Anna later met Kristie through Liz and Cassie. So that's how that whole like friendship was built. Liz was living on her own at the time. No, sorry, not yet. Liz was living like with her mom. She was young. Again, they were teenagers. And when she was about 16 years old, she came out to her mom as bisexual, and mama was not having it. She was like, you are not my kid. She was like, I don't want anything to do with you. She even went to the courthouse and filed emancipation paperwork. So that way her daughter was like on her own. So she was like, I'm 16. What the hell do I do? She ends up moving in with her older sister and the older sister's husband. And she was able to like continue going to school and all that. And
how evil.
Yeah. And I want to talk just briefly before, because we need to focus more on Liz, and you'll see why. But first, Kristie also she wasn't very accepted in her home life as well when she came out. So she was just on her own as well. But one thing that I learned about her was she was really like good in school. And when she graduated, she had dreams of becoming a vet one day. And she even received a scholarship to attend Texas A&M Veterinary School in College Station, Texas. I don't know where that is, but wow. And any person that loves animals that much is pretty much a saint in my book. So that was her plan. So anyways, back to Liz real quick. So I mentioned that she lived with her sister and the sister's husband. Sister's husband named was Javier Limon. Javier was an all-around creep and would hit on Liz repeatedly, even though he was married to her sister and she herself was a teenager. He would even write her letters where he would call her his little angel. Creep-tastico, okay?
Yeah.
But what's worse is that he knew she was gay or found out that she was gay, did not like it. So remember that. He was like, But that didn't seem to stop his like advances.
Of course not. It's probably like a challenge at this point.
And she mentions it to her friends, of course, because they're all together all the time. And she's like, what the hell do I do? And I think Anna was like, you need to get the hell out of there. So she ends up somehow being able to get an apartment. And Kristie moves in with her to like help her pay with the bills. Just so they could survive. And then I read in an interview somewhere that Kristie and Liz dated at one point, but it's not entirely clear if it was before or after they moved in together, but they were definitely like roommates.
Gotcha.
So Liz became pregnant. I don't know by who, not by Javier, but so, cause Liz, I don't know if I mentioned, I hope I did, that she's bisexual. So she ends up getting pregnant. She finds out, right away. And she's like, oh my God, what the hell? And the friends were like, we're all together. It's going to be okay. By this time, Javier and Rosemary had split up and he started sniffing around Liz again. He finds out she's pregnant and he's like, oh, I can take care of you and the kids. We can get married. We could be a family. Liz is like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I'm done. Yeah. She's like, you're my sister's ex and my baby has a father. Back off. What are you? But he would continue to make comments like this and continue to write letters. Okay. So, Javier. Okay. So he is no prized chicken. He has 2 kids. Okay. With his ex, Rosemary. Somehow, no one knows, but somehow he gets custody of these 2 kids. This is her, and the girls' names, which is very relevant, Stephanie and Vanessa. And they were very young, 7 and 9. They were like 2 years apart. So one day in July of 1994, Javier asks Liz, hey, can I leave the girls with you? I have to do something. Can you watch them for like a few days? And she's like, sure. Cause it's like family. You're going to like help out. Exactly. Think nothing of it. And then, so the girls went to go spend about a week or so at Liz's. During this time, her 3 friends were there as well. Anna, Cassie, and Kristie, like they always were. There was nothing rare about this. It was just another normal time. After the week was up, the girls went back home with Javier. All right. Get cozy. Are you cozy? Yeah. Find your happy spot.
I'm braiding my hair.
So about a month or so later, the police show up at Liz's door and took her down to the police station where she was questioned about, I'm sorry, what? Allegations of sexual assault against her 2 small nieces, ages 7 and 9. She was like, what? And then, first of all, she had just found out she was preggers. Okay.
Yeah. So she's still pregnant.
Yes. Right? She's, and it's early. So it's early in her pregnancy. So it's like trying times. Like you have to be careful. Like your stress levels. Yeah, exactly. So she's being carted off to the station and she's being questioned about raping her 2 small nieces. She's like, of course not. Why would they even say that? Like, I'm sure trying to to understand what the hell was happening. How did two small kids even come up with, and we're going to get into what they said, about with the story. And she was like their beloved aunt. She's like, excuse me. And then the questions started to get more and more personal. The detective started asking her, are you a lesbian? Have you ever been in a lesbian relationship? Are you friends with lesbians? Have they ever been alone with your nieces? And just so on. So like there's like this pattern of questions. It was awful. So the reason why he was asking all this is because the little girls were not just accusing Liz, they were accusing all 4 women of gang raping them over the course of 2 days.
What?
Yes.
Okay. This is crazy. I would have never expected this. Okay.
I know.
Wow.
I know. So, okay. So she's down at the station. She's like, oh my God, what the hell? Anna receives.
And hold up real quick.
Yeah.
How long after they spent some time there? It was, you said like
month later. A month later. Yes.
Okay,
and I
that
apologize.
Right there is fishy.
So I apologize for lack of, sometimes I'm not going to have like exact dates because it was really hard to pinpoint a timeline, but they went and stayed with them towards the end of the month of July of 94. And it sounded like until like the first couple of days of August. And then it's just, but it's all like within the course of summer through fall of what's going on.
But it wasn't like the day after.
No, it was a whole month later. Yeah. And you'll see why. So she's at the station, and then Anna actually receives a phone call from one of the detectives working on this supposed case. So he wanted to make sure that she knew Liz, and he wanted to confirm that she was at Liz's on the 2 nights in question. And then he told her, you're being accused of raping these 2 small kids. She was like, excuse me? Like, who?
Wow.
And yeah, so she's like spiraling, like what's going on? She and Cassie and Kristie learn almost immediately that they too were facing these allegations. I believe Anna told Cassie because she saw her right away. And she was like, Cassie in an interview said that Anna was being like affectionate towards her, but in public, and that was not like her. So she's like, what's going on? And she's like, fuck it, like apparently like I'm a pervert and blah, blah, blah. So might as well just like be free. And then she told her about that they were also, because they had heard about Liz being taken away. So she was like, it's us as well. And she's like, how? And remember, Cassie has 2 small kids. So she's like, oh my God. And then with Kristie, I believe police showed up at her at the apartment because she lived with Liz. So they showed back up to the apartment and got her and brought her down to the station. So they were all like, oh my God, here we go. Like, we didn't do anything wrong, but okay, we have to listen to what they're saying, do what they say. So, and what kills me is that all 4 women thought there is a justice system for a reason. It is supposed to be fair and just. And if they told the truth, everything would be okay. So they all gave their statements willingly to the detectives, and they told the truth that nothing happened. But unfortunately, they did not have attorneys present when giving their statements because, again, they were like, why? We did not do anything.
Oh, sorry.
That was perfect. I'm so sorry. We just had a sound effect because that's how pissed I was.
Sorry. Okay.
What happened?
No, the fly. I thought my mic was on mute. Sorry. It was really big.
Did something crash?
No, it was in my lamp, but all good. But yeah, the sound effects were actually perfect.
Oh my God, you're hilarious. Oh, I needed that. So, yeah. So at this point, the detectives, all they had was the word of the kids. And who's going to question a small, innocent child who claims to have been molested by a relative? So apparently that was just all they needed. Okay. we're going to go to trial. But it would
Damn.
be a couple of years before that would take place. So in the meantime, Liz was formally arrested, and I assume it's because it was her nieces that filed these charges. I wasn't able to find an official arrest date, but it appears to have been sometime around January of 95. I had to do calculations because supposedly Liz was just a couple months pregnant when this happened. So it ended up being January 95 because she was able to give birth to her son Hector before the arrest. And what's absolutely just heart-wrenching is that 48 hours after she gave birth, she was carted off to the Hobby prison unit for a crime she did not commit. I mean, she wasn't even allowed to kiss her baby goodbye. And I read somewhere that she was still leaking breast milk for some time after they were separated.
Oh my goodness. How devastating.
Oh, it's awful. It's awful. And oh God, I cried my eye. I have been, this case just really it really pulled up at my heartstrings. Yeah. Liz actually ended up being released on bail though, while she awaited trial. And she worked her butt off trying to clear her name. She was trying to figure out how and why this was happening. And she also got a job to be able to support her son. And by now, at this point, I should mention that her and her mom actually made amends, and she was able to like lean on her mom a lot, like in terms of like helping with taking care of her son, because that's all she had. All her other friends were like,
her mom ended up getting custody of the son.
Yes, later on, like when she was gonna, she stepped in. Wow. So Liz did have a theory. She believed that Javier, remember him, was responsible for the mess she and her friends were in. For one, she rejected him time and time again. Duh. Why the hell would she have given him the time of day?
Yeah, exactly.
And two, he did not agree with her lifestyle. Again, because I am sure he believed that the only reason why she wasn't giving into his advances is because she was gay. Yeah. Okay. That's the only reason. All right.
Wow.
Can't be because you're just a disgusting
creep.
Yeah. So Liz, can you hear me? Okay. Liz tried to tell the detective who took her statement about Javier and her suspicions, but he kind of was like, that he didn't really find any importance. He dismissed it pretty much. So she told her lawyer and gave him the letters that Javier had written to her, but this did not help at all. And I want to point out something that I think is really relevant. Her attorney was not a criminal defense attorney because I read somewhere that he was her personal injury lawyer. She had been involved in a car accident, I think the same week as this alleged incident took place. And she had just found out she was pregnant. Like it was just stressful all around, right? So the attorney ended up helping her out through this, but he's not a criminal defense attorney. So he's like, he has no idea what the hell is going on, but okay. So anyways. Fast forward to 2 years later in February of 1997. This is when Liz's trial begins. Now, Liz was being tried separately from her three friends since she was considered the quote unquote ringleader of this whole spectacle. Okay.
It's insane.
No, I know. And not that it's anyone's business or that it should be held against anyone, but the women's sexuality and lifestyle became public knowledge and was unfortunately used against them. And apparently this is something that was not supposed to be brought up in trial, but I guess how could you avoid it?
Right.
The district attorney ran with this and basically was like, these women are gay, so of course they are child molesters. You know?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Talk about a freaking witch hunt.
Yeah, I'm very glad you said that because that's going to go ahead. That's going to tie very nicely to what I'm going to say in a little bit.
Wow.
So before that, because of this, it was really hard for the court to find unbiased jurors to serve on the jury panel for the trials. No shit. I saw some of the voir dire responses from the potential jurors, and they were all pretty much like, I don't feel comfortable with this case. She's a lesbian, stuff like that. And so many people had trouble comprehending like people can be gay and not be child molesters.
Yeah.
So you couple the women's sexuality, the supposed victims in this case are kids. Do you think that the court was successful in putting unbiased unbiased people on their panel?
Hell no.
I doubt it.
And
so
how disgusting.
Yeah.
I'm so livid right now. And
I know.
You haven't even got down to the nitty gritty because this is annoying because this case, should have been transferred over to another state or county. And I don't know if you could find one over there in that area.
No.
It should have been transferred to somewhere else. Like
exactly. So that's another like, hi, this is like not a fair trial, like in big lights, but all right, whatever. During the trial, which took place in March of 95, the young girls, Stephanie and Vanessa, took the stand.
Wow. And how old are they by now?
I want to say they were now they were 7 and 9, so maybe like 10 and
teens or something.
Yeah, they were before 13. So they took the stand and told the horrified courtroom of how all 4 women gang raped them by inserting objects inside of them, things like tampons, syringes, powdery substances. They mentioned how like all the women were like topless. I don't know why that was relevant, but that was like they were all like there. They mentioned how their aunt threatened them with a gun to not tell anyone, and later on that changes to the aunt had a knife, and then later on it changed to Anna had the gun. So you see where I'm going with this. So it was awful, and it was all over the place. Their testimony changed a lot, did not make any sense, yet no one seemed to bat an eyelash. Okay. Yeah, I know.
What's going on?
I know. And there was also testimony given by a doctor who was called as the prosecution's expert witness, a Dr. Kellogg. Supposedly, this doctor examined the girls after the alleged incident, and Dr. Kellogg took note of something on one of the girls' hymens and said that it appeared that the quote injury matched what it would be like if an assault had taken place. Remember that, okay? Okay. Another huge, ridiculous argument that the DA tried to use that the dumb as rocks jury completely ate up was the fact that the 4 women were trying to sacrifice the 2 little girls in some sort of satanic sexual ritual.
Oh, come on. Okay.
So, as you know, satanic panic was huge in the 80s and 90s. And basically, if you were different in any way, you must be a Satan worshiper. And unfortunately, members of the LGBTQ plus community were victims of this, quote, panic. And I actually want to do a crime talk episode where we delve into this a bit more because it's wild. It's wild. Yeah, it's disgusting. So, all of this was apparently enough for the jury to quickly come back with a guilty verdict for aggravated sexual assault. And Liz was sentenced to 37 and a half years. Let that sink in. I know.
37 and a half years? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was, and it was a, once the trial got going, Neen, it was like, it started, it ended. Like the jurors came back so fast. I think one juror was interviewed and he was like, I wish life was an option, because if it was a man, like he would be found guilty for life. I'm like, really? With what evidence?
Come on now. Like, wow. They already had their mind set up the minute they were even chosen.
Yeah, exactly. So now, so there goes Liz and Cassie, Anna, and Kristie. So remember, they were like tried separately, but together, the three of them. They were all offered plea deals, and had they accepted, they would not have to do time. However, they would be brandished forever as sex offenders. But besides that, the women had integrity. They knew they were innocent and they refused to accept these plea deals and chose to go to trial to clear their names. You know, they were like, come on, like, we didn't do this. This is crazy. But they were quickly found guilty, sentenced to 15 years each.
Dang.
Yeah. And their trial took place in February of 98. So like a year after Liz. So Cassie, Anna, and Kristie, they all filed appeal after appeal after appeal. And they were actually able to be out on appeal while they waited for the final like decision. During this time, they tried to stay positive and they worked hard to find anything to clear their names. I saw footage of them going back to where the assault had taken place, like the apartment complex, but unfortunately the building had been torn down. Because there was one thing that stuck out to them during the girls' testimony. They were like, I tried to run to the door, but the door was locked. Apparently, the bedroom door didn't even have a lock at all. So that was a lie.
See, wow.
But like, so like the building was torn down, the landlord was long gone. It was like trying to find a needle in a haystack at this point. But they kept going. They held protests to help get the word out. They worked nonstop. And they also tried their hardest to like live their life as much as they could while they were out on appeal, like Cassie with her babies. They tried to be with their family a lot. It was like the family was all of their families. They were united at this point. And when they were working, they weren't just doing it for themselves. They were also trying to help Liz, you know, who was feeling shame and guilt for ruining their friends' lives. You know, she blamed herself.
Dang, and she didn't even do nothing. She just decided to help freaking Javier.
Exactly. So, yeah. So unfortunately, time did eventually run out on their appeals, which were all ultimately denied. And on July 12th of the year 2000, the three friends all went together to turn themselves in. And this footage was absolutely devastating to watch. I cried my freaking face off seeing Anna's mom hold her tight. Like the girls walk in holding hands, seeing her, you know, her mom like saying goodbye to her daughter. I love you. Listening to Cassie and Anna say, I love you to each other as they're being separated. The girls, the family, everyone's crying. The family members watching them being handcuffed. I mean, I'll never, ever be able to remove these images from my memory. Again, this is all for a crime they did not commit. And they were not, you know how you're innocent until proven guilty? That was not the case here.
Oh, yeah. They were already guilty from the moment Javier
exactly set his little plan into motion. So anyway, so time just goes on and they try to make the most of it while they're in jail. They get an education, they stay under the radar. I didn't hear any like too many horrifying stories or any type of abuse, because I know you hear predator, child abuser, you think you have the scarlet letter, but I didn't hear anything to that effect. I did hear that the girls, the three, I don't know about Liz, but they refused to sign up for like a sex offender program within the jail because they were like, we're not sex offenders. And they were thrown into isolation. So I did hear that. They were thrown into isolation for like a month, I think. And imagine being alone in a cell for a month in the dark.
Oh my
like,
God. All this is just horrifying.
No. And then, so they're in jail. And in 2006, a man by the name of Daryl Otto, who is a biologist from the Yukon, he was like a big true crime fanatic. Okay. Like who isn't? And he was studying female sex offenders, just, you know, just reading up on them. And he comes across this case and he starts reading up on it and starts trying to like look up everything he can on this case. And he's like, how the fuck did these women get put away with no evidence whatsoever? How did we not hear about this case at all? Like what?
Yeah, exactly.
So he decides he's going to do everything in his power to help. This is a man that's never met these women. Okay. He begins corresponding with the four women. And I read with the four women, but in the documentary I watched it, I think he finally heard back from Liz. So him and Liz start corresponding. And he is like convinced that more and more by listening to her that, and by meeting her, he actually went to the prison to meet with her in person. He's convinced that they were set up. This was like, they're wasting their lives for no reason. He's going to help them. So in 2008, he submits a request to the National Center for Reason and Justice, which is an organization co-founded by a woman named Debbie Nathan, who actually wrote a book about satanic ritual abuse cases. So Debbie, good old Debbie, examines the case. And in 2010, okay, get comfy because it gets good right here. 2010, she got in touch with Stephanie, one of the victims, the younger victim of the two, actually. And, Stephanie agrees to meet with her and Debbie interviews her. So at this point, Stephanie's an adult. She's a mom herself. Okay. And at first I'm like, what is this hoe gonna say? I mean, she was a kid, so like I can't
for real. But it's funny because I was gonna tell you when you were mentioning, I was gonna say it would be funny to hear about like their take when they're older to see what really happened. If I this better be something good because I'm pissed.
No, yeah, sorry. I thought they were like getting into some mischief behind.
It's okay. Can't be any more mischief than this fly.
So anyways, so Debbie meets Stephanie.
I see behind. Is there a wet spot?
I think so. Hi everyone on YouTube. I forgot to bring a puppy pad down here. Yep. All right. That's fun for me later.
She's always providing entertainment. I love it.
She wants to keep it light when it's heavy. Thank you, Sophie.
Right?
Dios. Okay.
Either that or she heard the story and peed her pants.
Out of anger. And she's like protesting right now. I mean, I don't blame you, Toti. But yeah. So she meets Stephanie and Stephanie agrees to be interviewed. And like I mentioned, she's a mom herself. So that might have something to do with what she's going to do. So she recants every little thing she said during the trial years before and told Debbie, my sister and I, like everything we said, they were lies made up after being pressured by their father, Javier Limon. Yes, Javier's back, everybody. So Stephanie shared that she and her sister were playing with Barbies as kids do. And I guess they had their Barbies in compromising positions and the dolls were naked. Hello, who hasn't done that? So Javier, I guess, saw this and was like, oh, you must have learned that from somewhere, right? Did your aunt do something to you? Oh, she did something to you. I mean, drilling these girls. And to make matters worse, their grandma, his mother, was doing the same thing to them. Like, if they did something bad to you, you need to tell the police. I mean, totally just like drilling these two small kids. And I think they were scared of their dad. So that's there too. Okay.
Right.
And then the more they did that, the angrier and I'm sure scarier Javier got to them. So naturally they felt scared enough to start believing these lies and went along with it. But now she's older and kind of out of from under her dad's thumb, but not really. He's still very much a presence.
How old did you say she was about?
So by this point, I think she was in her I think she was 21 at this point. But she, so she's older, 21, she's a mom, and she's like, I have to say something. I have to speak up. And I think Debbie contacting her was like, here's my sign from God. So, I mean, thank God. I mean, I wish that it had never happened, or I wish maybe she would have realized that sooner, but at least it happened. And I understand that as a child, I mean, she was most definitely traumatized and terrified.
So as a child, I don't think you said this, or maybe you didn't mention, or maybe did, and I don't know. Were they evaluated by a psychiatrist, or?
I could not find that anywhere. The only like expert testimony that was given was from the pediatrician that examined the girls. So normally you would take them to be examined. But even during like satanic panic days, like the psychologist back then would hold up a doll and be like, point to the doll. Where were you touched? And I'm sure they had their answers locked and loaded. I'm sure Javier
Right.
prepped them with their Barbies. Like, what were they doing to you? You know?
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I couldn't find anywhere that a psychologist had interviewed the girls back then. So that's another argument for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So, anyways, once they had Stephanie's new statement, the work started escalating. So Vanessa, Stephanie's older sister, did not come forward and did not participate in any of this. And Stephanie said it was because she was still really scared of her dad and what he might do. But Stephanie was like, I'm ready to do whatever I need to do to right this wrong. So props to her. I'm still not sure why, but the first person released from jail was actually Anna. So in 2012, she was released, like following like all this, like they filed like the evidence, the statement, all this stuff that this was all a lie. And so they're like, oh, okay, well, okay, let's release her. I don't know why the other girls weren't right then and there, but she was released and she worked her damn ass off. Okay. Once she didn't just get out and lay around. She got out, and it's so sad. I saw a clip of her family coming to pick her up. They were all excited. They decorated her room. They got her new clothes. And the first thing they do after they hug her for like ever is hand her a pack of juicy fruit, because I guess that was her favorite gum. And she put it in her mouth and she's like, oh my God, I haven't chewed gum in like 13 years. It was so sad. Like I was just like, oh my God. And just seeing her eyes like look at everything, all the changes, and like oh, so yeah.
Wow.
So
That's heartbreaking.
And though she was released, the charges against her were not were not erased, I should say. She still had to register as a sex offender. I mean, she was just out on parole.
So she just completed her time.
Almost. See, she was sentenced to 15 years, but I think she only she served 13. So
okay, so she got out basically because she for good behavior or whatever.
Yes, and because of the new evidence.
Okay.
Yeah.
But how come
exactly.
Yeah. So does that mean that it can't be erased until they prove them all wrong? I mean,
correct.
Okay.
So there was a lot of work to still be done for them. And she had to register. So she registered. She followed all the rules. But she worked day and night to try to bring awareness to the case. And she actually ended up being the spokesperson for the 4 women. I mean, she was working to clear their names. To hear this woman speak, it's so powerful because you feel the pain. You feel the confusion, and you see the fire in her eyes that this woman's not going to rest until all their names are cleared. Like, that she's going to get shit done. So that's amazing. So she's working for like about a year on her own with, doing all this. So a year later, after her release, an attorney by the name of Mike Ware filed writs for all 4 women. And in his argument, he mentioned Stephanie's new statement, which is really big deal. He also mentions the mistakes made by the police and the lawyers in the original trial, lack of evidence, just all of this. But his main focus was on surrounding the testimony of Dr. Kellogg, since, I'm going to quote this, medical understanding of what constitutes evidence of sexual abuse had changed. Shortly after this, Dr. Kellogg told the DA that her initial claims that she gave during trial were outdated and that she would not say the same thing today. So ergo, there was nothing. Like, it was like, you remember, like, did you ever have that thing when you were little and if you sat on a bike, you could potentially like hurt your hymen or something?
Oh,
like,
yeah. I used to hear that all the time.
Exactly. So
there's so many things that could have caused that.
Exactly. So that was huge. It was, in a way, it was bigger than Stephanie's recanting of the whole thing. So the DA's office agreed to relief for the women on the basis that inaccurate scientific testimony tainted the trial. Okay.
Wow.
But they still were not ready to rule on the actual innocence claim. Okay, so almost. Okay.
Wow.
So the women were all released. So the rest of the women were released on bail in November of 2013. Okay, so Liz, Cassie, and Kristie, to see them come out holding hands together to a huge crowd of their family and supporters. Oh my God, did I cry? I cried for 10 minutes straight after watching that. And then to see Liz like hold her son, who is now a teenager, like she missed out on his entire life, and to hear him sobbing while he's holding his mom.
No,
And then
so
Cassie's daughter had a baby while she was in jail, and she's meeting her grandbaby who's 2. She's like, I'm your grandma. Like it was just
yeah. So sad.
They again, so all 4 are reunited. They did not rest. No. They were like, we are going to clear our name. And so they set out to do so. So in April of 2015, the judge who presided over, like, I think there was a second trial in 1998, that same judge held a 2-day evidentiary hearing on just the issue surrounding innocence. Okay. In February 2016, so almost a year later, the judge was like, nah, not enough evidence to support your claim that you're innocent.
What the hell?
I know. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? But they weren't done. They were like, So they appealed the case again to the Texas Court of Appeals. So they went above. And on November 23rd, 2016, the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals granted the writs and vacated the convictions of the 4 women. So they ruled in the favor on their actual innocence claim, and as well as to the claim of faulty science. And the court said, and I want to quote this as well, Stephanie not only established that the offenses did not occur through her credible recantation testimony, she also explained in detail how her father forced her and her sister to make the false allegations to the police in the first place. So that, and the retraction from Dr. Kellogg's testimony, Dr. Kellogg's testimony had a huge hand in their like exoneration. So 22 years later, okay, it took 22 years, more years than my baby sister is, okay? Cassie, Anna, Liz, and Kristie were declared factually innocent and were exonerated, and they got to start their lives over again. They had so much to learn. I mean, because so much has changed. Technology, for example, iPhones, but also the social norms. Because now you could openly be gay. You could finally just be gay. Like what? There's no more hiding in the shadows. It was like, oh my God. And these women are freaking incredible. Just because they got their freedom doesn't mean they forgot everything that they went through. They continue to work tirelessly to help out others who have been wrongfully convicted. And Anna is even an outreach director for the Innocence Project of Texas. And remember how I told you that Kristie dreamed of becoming a vet? Well, she went back to school and is working or has achieved that goal. I mean, that was one thing.
Dang, and that's hard. That's
dang. And they're just the most amazing, inspiring, incredible women. And then I do want to mention one thing that I was like kind of like butt clenched about. I was able to see the reunion between Liz and Stephanie because they had a sit down, and did I sob. Liz was like, they sit down, she's all, hey mama, like hugs her and everything, and she's like, they sit down and you could tell Stephanie is really uncomfortable, and she's like, look, I don't blame you for anything at all. You were little. I love you. You're my niece. Let's just move past it. And then Stephanie breaks down. She's like, I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. And it was that reunion was so hard.
That makes me want to cry.
It was like seriously like, no. But did you have a
I'm just like, I can't believe this, because where the frick is Javier?
So Javier, he was interviewed. Okay. And he was like, I don't know. I mean, I believe my daughters. They told me this. And I always
the hell up,
my daughters. And now Stephanie's over there like she's just mad at me and making up these lies. So I don't think
What
that he
was his
served
last name again?
Limon.
Okay. I gotta look. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm
But
so mad right now.
he got his karma though, Neen. Well, I hate to say that, but he was eventually murdered for something else.
Oh,
he
well, yeah.
he was
No,
not
he got his karma,
yeah.
bitch. Sorry.
Exactly. And
So annoyed.
so that. And I mean, this case, it was
Wow.
definitely devastating, but it garnered widespread attention. So, I mean, now, not
Mm-hmm.
then, now. Okay. And it raised important questions about the flaws within the criminal justice system. And it just basically serves as a stark reminder of the potential for wrongful convictions,
Mm-hmm.
especially in cases that are fueled by bias, prejudice, and inadequate evidence. But the
Wow.
resilience and the determination displayed by these four incredible women are commendable, to say the least. They, as I
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, they've become advocates for the criminal justice reform,
Mm-hmm.
fighting to, prevent others from experiencing the injustice that they endured. And through their activism, they have shed a light on the flaws with the system and have worked to ensure that their story serves as a catalyst for change. So
Wow.
that is the story of the San Antonio Four.
That is crazy. That is actually really heartbreaking.
It was
I kind of in shock because there is nothing that, and I'm kind of mad at Stephanie.
I know.
Honestly, I get it. And, what is Liz going to do? You know, yes, she was a kid. You can't blame the kid, but the minute my ass was old enough to
Yeah.
understand that I lied, not by my doing, but because of my nasty ass father,
Mm-hmm.
okay, my ass would have gone somehow, told the counselor, walked to the police. And I know it was corrupt in, these areas due to the discrimination, but she could have said something sooner. If what's her name didn't contact her, would she have ever said anything? That's my question.
I mean, I would like to say that maybe, especially that she was now a mom, because when her baby was really young when Debbie reached out. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, having a child, you can attest to that. It really changes how you look at the world and
Mm-hmm.
yourself. So I would like to think that. But again, I think Vanessa not stepping up to the plate speaks volumes. I mean, she's older and she
Mm-hmm.
didn't really. And I
Mm-hmm.
kind of hope she's hiding in the shadows, actually, because I'd be embarrassed. I'd be
Oh, I
ashamed.
sure as hell would, because I think that you potentially could have ruined these people, and you did I mean, they're always going to have that, regardless if they were, you know, um, everything was reversed or whatever. I get it, but
I'm actually glad that you brought that up, Neen, because I was worried about like, the treatment that they would receive when out.
mm-hmm,
And actually, it's been really good. Everyone was in their corner pretty much. Like
thank
people
God.
would recognize them on the street and be like, congratulations, we never believed that you did anything. Like it was
Wow.
that was the one thing that really like surprised me in a good way about this case.
Wow.
And they, you know, they all four of them said what kept them strong throughout this whole thing was their faith in God. I
Wow.
mean, anyone else would have been angry at God, but they
Mm-hmm.
just held on that they would one day be able to live their lives and that the truth would set them free,
Mm-hmm.
And it took a while, but it finally did. I mean, Jesus, 22 years later, they can start over.
I mean,
It's
I know that we've come a long way as a society when we talk about things like this and the whole LGBTQ community, but we're still a long way from getting to a place where everyone is treated fairly. And, um, but at the same point, It's funny because so I know this is like way off top, not really, but that movie, My Cousin Vinny,
Yeah.
okay, and how they are convicted. I can't remember where they are. I don't know if they're in Texas or wherever, but they're convicted of a crime that they didn't commit, right? And the thing is that it's crazy how um people are predisposed to certain things because of the environment that they grew up in. And it's like if Sally Sue knows Joe Schmo, the judge or the attorney, and the attorney says, oh well, I'm gonna use you as a witness, and you tell them what to say, they're gonna say it, right? And it's kind
Mhm.
of like how with these jurors, you know uh, I would like people to interview these jurors and see where they are now, and if they would go back in time, if they would still feel the same way. I just think there's so many things that were so wrong. Tell me this, was there any chance that they could have, because that's the thing, Javier, there's no way that he could be charged with anything if they were
I
to.
thought that
I
too.
mean,
It's
didn't he
like
die? Yeah, he
he
died. So,
did.
I mean, that's so like, what are they going to do now? But couldn't they have done something against him for lying? He was under oath.
He played up the fact that he was not going to question his daughters coming up to him and saying that, because my daughters are victims, I'm only repeating what they said. I had their best interest. That's the whole card he played.
What a sick. Oh, I have some choice words for this. It's okay. He's burning in hell right
Uh-huh.
now. But, you know, yeah, I'm so angry right. I really am, because you know what? There are so many people, I'm sure, but especially with cases like this, because back in the day with the amount of discrimination and hate that people had and the homophobia, it created, like, it didn't matter what people said. You were already guilty by association in your lifestyle, you know? And thank God it was four of them and they all could support each other
Mhm.
and lean on one another, and they had one another. And it's
Yes.
that whole thing. And we both work in an area where we work closely with, or we've been around people in the past, like cases that we hear things about people that are guilty
Mhm.
of stuff or not guilty. And in the past, when I would hear about certain cases, you always question those people that are up for like life sentences, and they have the opportunity to plead guilty with a lesser sentence, but they are adamant about going to trial to prove their innocence.
Mhm.
When if you plead, you're going to get half that sentence, okay? But if you are convicted, there is a possibility you will never see the light of day. And for
Mhm.
someone that will say, I don't care because I need to prove that I am telling the truth.
Mhm.
Either you're crazy, okay, you're demented and think you're actually going to believe, be able to win over the jurors, okay?
Right.
And that should say a lot, right? But the fact that someone is willing to risk their whole life and end up in prison just to prove their innocence says a lot
Right.
about the situation.
They were not willing, like, to take the easy way out because
No.
they were innocent and they were
Hmm.
going to stick to their guns and they were going to prove it no matter how many years they lost, because they would forever be branded if
Hmm.
they took that route. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know that I'd be able to do that. I mean, I
Hmm.
would hope so, but
But
they're
it's so
just,
sad that they actually had faith.
yeah, in the justice system.
Yeah. And then you get screwed over by the freaking jurors that,
I
already
don't
knew what they, what the outcome would have been in their mind to start with.
I do not personally. I would not want my life to rest in the hands of jurors at all. Are you kidding me? Like,
Well,
give
and what's
me.
crazy is like when and I don't know how it is in Texas, but I know in California, and I believe this is the case throughout the United States is when someone is going up to trial, the defendants are there, or the defendant is there listening to the jurors that are being questioned, and if they have an issue with whatever, the juror is saying, and they don't feel comfortable and feel as though the juror would, give them a fair chance, right? They can deny that, or they can say, I don't want that juror, right?
Exactly.
So
Yes.
I mean, you can't tell me that, like, these people, I'm pretty sure, I guess, I don't know. It would be interesting to actually see how long they were actually, um, interviewing jurors to see who was a right fit, because I just think they just were like over it and were like, okay, we're done, you know? Because honestly, wow. It's just such a sad case. And you know what? I'm just, yeah, I'm gonna go watch some of these things online right now. And I am just floored. I'm happy for them, because it was a great outcome, and the fact that at least they're able to, young enough to where they can enjoy the majority of their life, right? But it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth
Yeah.
on all
I know.
aspects, you know? I just hate people sometimes. They are so mean. They're evil.
I mean, karma, you can only, as you can see, especially in this case, it was definitely was served straight
Mhm.
up and with a twist. But yeah, people suck. And
Yeah.
these women are just, they're amazing. And I hope that they just continue to do greatness, because
Yeah. I wish nothing but the best for them, and I just want to applaud all the attorneys now that are looking into cases from the past, and that take the time to research these cases and see where, especially cases from that time where DNA wasn't a thing, where, like, you often wonder, and I've even had conversations with people now that, like, marijuana is legal in California. Like, it makes you wonder how many people are in prison because for possession of marijuana, back then, right?
right.
Like, when you think of all the things when laws have changed, or if you just think of how many people are innocent sitting in there
Oh,
rotting
yeah.
away because of how it used to be, and I will say this time and time again, Steph, is that it's disgusting to me how it doesn't matter what state you're in. Across the board, we are the United States, and it doesn't matter what state you come from. Our laws should be the same. If you can't get a fair trial in one state, you should have the right to bring it over to another, like you would a county.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree.
If the laws are, and why should it matter if you commit a crime in Texas versus Montana versus California? We're still the same
Exactly.
country with the same laws, you know? Ugh,
Yeah.
I'm so disgusted, but I hope they have a beautiful life.
Me too.
Yeah, I don't like people like this. I just can't. I can't. I can only, I'm really bothered by this.
Yeah, it's pretty blatant and disgusting. And I wish we didn't have to talk about it, but I just really wanted to shed some light because they really moved
No, but
me.
thank you, because honestly, I don't think we would have ever heard about this. And I hope that someone who's more mainstream brings it out and has a movie about it, so they could really have a huge spotlight on things like this, because it's very sad and it's unfortunate, and it really didn't have to happen.
No.
And thank you, Steph, for how did you stumble across this? Was it just random?
I have like a list of cases that I wanted that I want to research. And then I also
Mhm.
have like a segment of like LGBTQ plus, especially because when I decided I wanted to do it for the month of June, especially. And then I was like, I really want to like find cases surrounding lesbians.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kept researching and researching. And finally I found this one like thing. I don't know what word I used, but like it popped up and then it just was like, are you kidding me? And then I watched the Sundance documentary on it. It was,
Is
oh
that
my
the
God.
Southwest Salem Southwest or something
Mhm.
like that? Wow. I'll have to watch that. So interesting.
Yeah, it was
Hmm.
absolutely heartbreaking. And I'll never, ever forget this ever. Like it's going to stay with me. Just,
No, absolutely. It's one of those things like I'm happy to hear the outcome of that they got out, but at the same time, what they endured was so sad. And
and
that's just
unnecessary.
traumatizing. Yeah, it really
Yeah.
was. And it's just like, you want to be like, oh, great job for finally speaking up on that it was a lie.
Yeah.
But I still can't,
Pats on the
I still can't.
shoulder, hugs,
Yeah.
kisses. Yeah,
Hmm.
she's very forgiving.
Yeah, she is. Ugh. And that just proves that I don't know, you just have to be careful with I don't want to say you have to be careful with children,
I
but
would.
no, but that's the
They'd
thing
be
is that they're
lying.
so
They're pure,
impressionable.
but like they all.
Yeah, they're so impressionable and around the wrong people, things happen, and this is a testament to how things really, I'll just tell you this quick story and how it's kind of along the same lines, but when depending on where the children come from too, I think that they tend to um either want attention or they want their way, and sometimes kids get really crafty. And I remember a case that I had heard about where this girl had a piano teacher and she hated piano. She did not want to play piano, but her
Mhm,
mother forced her because it was something her mother wanted her to do because she always wanted to play piano when she was younger, never had the chance.
mhm.
And she hated going to piano lessons so much so she created the story that her piano teacher was molesting her. And the man ended up being charged with over 250 counts of molestation. And when they were talking to the young girl, she kept switching her story, saying, oh, yeah, it wasn't consistent.
Yeah.
And that's why it's crazy how they didn't even, that wasn't even something like the judge would say in this case, "Oh, okay, well, the stories of, um, you know, the witness testimonies were not even consistent." And just like
Mhm.
in the case I'm talking about, is it was the same thing. And eventually, as time went on, like 4 years later, the freaking girl says, "Oh, well, I just didn't want to do the piano lesson, so I made up this lie." And
Swear to
because my
God.
mom wasn't listening to me.
I've seen SVU episodes to this, like to the T. It's like,
Mm.
see,
And
see.
it's disturbing. And, honest, I don't know if there has to be some laws about that.
And the
you
parents
know,
should be the one to serve them, of course.
yeah. But, anyways, thank you, Steph.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. That was a good one.
Thank
Actually, I
you.
enjoy not knowing about the case until you tell me, because I feel like, when I know, it's kind of like, oh, okay. But now it's like I'm watching something.
I love it.
So
I love
no,
it. Thank you. And
great
thank you for
job.
chatting with me
Of
about
course.
it. Cause it's just, like I said, it's stuck in my heart forever and just so inspiring. So I'm glad that we got to talk about it together here. And
Yes, absolutely.
I thought it was fitting to wrap up our pride like crime talk segments.
Hmm.
So, but it's
I
not the
agree.
end. It's not the end of LGBTQ plus cases. We will be
No,
mixing them
exactly.
back in here, but I wanted to spotlight some for this
Oh
month.
no,
So
and you did a phenomenal job this month. For real,
thank
you really did.
you. Thank you so
And
much. And I just loved doing it. I love doing this and I love talking with you. So thank you. And I look forward to, well, in a non-creepy way. I look forward to the next one. And
yes.
yeah, Neen. So thank you. And until next time, catch you on the flip side.
Oh yeah, peace out, buddies.